Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome to another Sree COVID-19 call. This is my daily global conversation about all things to do with the COVID-19 crisis that we're having. Tell us where you're watching from. Please share this show with the friends and family that you have all over the world. Let them join us. This is a global conversation after all. We have people watching from around the world. Tell us where you're watching from. Tell us how your Wednesday has gone. Some of you are already on to Thursday morning. We love having you here. Share your comments. Tell us what's going on. We are just so delighted to be with you. I'm honored to have you with me this evening. Jonathan Borstein, my dear friend who is watching from the East Village. Look at that bandana he has on. One of the things we learned is that the governor of New York is about to or has already signed an executive order saying everyone must wear some kind of facial covering when they go out into New York. That's the state of this. We are now on day number 34 of the show and day 34 of the lockdown. 34 days we've been live every day for an hour, sometimes 2 hours, and people from all over the world have joined us. This has been a life highlight, as I like to say, hashtag life highlight, to be with you and to spend time with you. Let me tell you what we're going to do today. You are in for a special treat because we have a show called Empty New York, and New York City, which is called by many people, including an Australian podcaster who interviewed me about my show just yesterday. He said it's the capital of the world, but now it's in the news for its full hospitals and empty streets. Join us as we meet a bike messenger, poet, and photographer documenting the sad plight of New York City. My guest is Kurt Boone, who's at Poet59 on Twitter, at Messenger841 on Instagram. You're going to love meeting him and spending time with him today. So please share this with your friends and tag them, and let's have a great conversation. We want to tell you about some upcoming shows because we have a lot going on. We also have tomorrow a conversation about the International Consortium of Federation of Journalists, the ICFJ, and we are going to have a great conversation around health care, journalism, and what are the issues that people need to know about. So please do tune in. It's an early show tomorrow. It's at 7 p.m. tomorrow. You don't want to miss that. So the ICFJ, the International Center for Journalists, is going to be with us tomorrow. Patrick Butler, the VP of Content and Continuity, and Stella Rock, the Director of Community Engagement, is going to be with us as we talk about how we can help journalists. So please stop by tomorrow at 7 p.m. And then on Friday, we've got a show about immigration, U.S. immigration issues. And we have two lawyers joining us, Prashanti Reddy, who is an immigration attorney, and Alan Wernick, who is an immigration law columnist for the New York Daily News. So that should be a fantastic conversation. Part of all of this is possible because of our two producers, Rose Horowitz 31 on Twitter and Vandana Menon, Vandana_Menon on Twitter. They're both sharing, tagging, commenting, live tweeting, and I'm grateful to both of them. And thank you so much for your production help. It's also possible because we have sponsors. And I'm so lucky that people think the show is worth sponsoring. We want to thank FrontlineFoodTrucks.com, the New York Food Truck Association, raising money to send food for free to New York's healthcare workers at NYU Langone and other hospitals. They have donations from great brands La Colombe, Sweet Green, Chobani, and Kind Bar, and Blue Bottle Coffee. And a third-party donor has donated this space. An anonymous person has donated this ad. So you can go to Frontline Food Trucks, make a donation. You're supporting the food truck workers, the hospital workers, and this little show. So thank you so much for joining us and for being part of the show. If you have something that you would like to sponsor, we'd love to see you do that, and we'd love to have your sponsorship opportunities. Just email me, sree@sree.net, so you can support this show that has had more than 285,000 viewers in just the first 25 shows, and people around the world. Some people call it an essential show and uplifting, but I say it's uplifting to me that you are all here. Now, without further ado, let me invite you to meet our fabulous guest today, who's going to talk about empty New York, somebody who's going to show you the streets of New York while the rest of us are in our apartments trying to work from home. He's working on the streets and he's documenting what he's seeing. And Minh Phan is with us, hugs from Saigon, Vietnam, saying stay safe. Marielle is watching from Kansas City, and I want to make sure that our friend Kurt Boone gets to meet all of them. So without further ado, folks, here is Kurt Boone. Hi, Kurt. Hi, Kurt, you're on the air.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Sree, everybody. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Sree, for having me.
Thank you, Kurt. Let me tell people about you so that they know your work and who you are. Kurt is several things. He wears several hats. He is a poet, a photographer, a journalist, a book author, and his day job is bicycle messenger. While most of us have been home, he's been working through this crisis, making regular deliveries and traveling around the city by bicycle or subway. During that time, he's been taking photos of empty streets, lobbies, transit centers, all of which probably will go into his next book project. Some of his books we will show you, including Subway Beats, which got him on local TV and the major newspapers. He's a well-known member of the New York City messenger community, so much so that he was invited to China a year or two ago and treated like a rock star. I love hearing that, Kurt. Tell us where you're watching from and tell us how you're doing. Kurt, can you hear me? Tell us how you're doing.
In New Jersey. Yeah. Now I'm home in Newark, New Jersey. I just finished coming in from the Javits Center. They have a facility over there where they give frontline workers free food. It's called the Central World Kitchen. It was founded by gourmet chef Jose Andres, and they've been supporting frontline workers with free gourmet food. So I was rushing home, and I got the call that you guys are going to have me on the air, and so I went and got ready for this. But I had a very interesting day. I thought it was going to be a slow day. I was for the first couple hours that I worked today. I didn't get any jobs. I call them jobs, they're messenger runs, but I didn't get any. And then towards the end of the day, I got jobs to pick up and deliver. And I got two jobs from one of the main clients I work for. It's called Soulless Health, SOLLIS Health. They're located on East 77th Street, right, just a block away from the hospital there. And what I do is I rush prescriptions. They give me prescriptions, and I rush it to the person's home. So those were my last two jobs. I also did some free today. So I've been having a relationship with Redux Pictures, and they were looking for photos of delivery workers. So I spent a little time shooting delivery workers today while they're in action. So they actually don't know I'm photographing them, but I think that works to my advantage.
So we'll show people your photographs, but before that, first of all, thank you for what you do, bringing medicines to people, getting packages. We are so grateful to you. You are a frontline worker, and we're so grateful to you, Kurt, for what you're doing. Thank you so much, and we appreciate that. Folks, tell us where you're watching from. Say hi to Kurt, and we'll tell you how you can find him and how you can follow him. He's on all the platforms. You can find him on Twitter. He is Poet59, and on Messenger, on Instagram, he is Messenger 841. And first, I'm going to ask him what those numbers mean. What is Messenger 841? How did you get that handle? And what does that mean to you? Go ahead, Kurt.
Okay, so that's a great question. That's a great question. 841 was a radio code that was issued to me around the year 2000. And they gave me the code for one. And started as looking at Messenger street styles. All of a sudden, Messenger street styles were popular. And so I decided to create a label. And I wanted to reflect me being a messenger. So I took the radio code 841 and I called my label Messenger 841. And from that label, I do some merchandising and I do talks about urban culture all through the one tag, because I'm trying to what it is to be a messenger and kind of be proud of the job that we do, because many times it's not appreciated. So I try to showcase it wherever I'm at. But it goes back to 2000, and it's interesting. I actually founded Messenger 841 a couple of months prior to 9/11. So it was very interesting. So, because I was doing courier jobs for this company called Getty Images. They're a famous syndicate of photographs. And so I was the night courier at the New York headquarters. Yeah, and so I was the night courier at Getty Images at 75 Varick. And I formed Messenger 841 right around the time 9/11 happened. So I've been quite in the mix of what's going on in the streets of New York and kind of being very close to it, like hands-on. You know what I mean? But the Messenger 841 just identifies me as this courier, and I tell stories from my platform.
I love that, Kurt. And yeah, I like that very much. And tell me, Poet 59. Tell me about Poet 59, which is your Twitter handle, @Poet 59.
Okay, so Poet 59 is, I'm a poet, and 59, I was born in 1959. So 59 stands for my the year I was born, 1959. So Poet 59.
I love that.
That stands for.
That's awesome. So let's look at some of your photographs. Let's talk about them, and we'll share them. You've got so many pictures that you put on the internet. Here is your Twitter handle so that people can follow you, Poet 59. So please follow him. And let's look at. I've got a Dropbox full of pictures, about 300 pictures. We're not going to get to all of them tonight, but I'm going to just show them. And you can talk a little bit about each of the pictures, whatever you want to say. Some of them I will obviously be able to guess, but you can talk about them. Does that sound like a plan? So let's do this. I'm going to go.
Yeah, that's good. That's
all
good.
right. So I'm going to go in and share so that we can find your pictures. And yeah, so this is a Dropbox full of pictures. So let's see. What are the different pictures show? So this is the first of many pictures. So just talk about them as I just go through them one by one. So go ahead, Kurt, tell us, this is obviously the subway system in New York.
Okay, so this photo is one of the first. These photos are some of the first photos I took about 3 weeks ago. when I started seeing people wearing masks. At the time of these two photos, not too many people were wearing masks. It was unusual to see people wearing masks. So those took about 3 weeks ago. Okay, so this is an empty street on the west side. I shot it from West 26th Street. So I made a delivery to West 26th Street and far west. So that's like 11th Avenue and 26th Street. And I noticed how deep the streets were empty. I never seen it that empty before. And I just took a photo. And that again was like in the first 3 weeks ago when I just started seeing empty streets, and so this is I believe the train is one of the this is the path coming. I'm coming into work. So this is the empty path train that I was on the other day, just completely empty. And this is during like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. So normally this whole platform would be full of people. And so in these photos, it's plain empty. So it startles me that, that it's so empty. That's the path. So that's the World Trade Center. And this particular restaurant is closed. That's the Apple store at the World Trade Center, closed.
We should tell people that the Apple store is never closed, right? It's never empty in New York.
See how deep that is. Nobody's there.
Apple stores are always full. The one on Fifth Avenue that's 24 hours is always full at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. And here you're seeing an empty Apple store.
Yeah. So this is a shot. Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
No, empty train station, empty streets. That is Church Street, right down by the Oculus at the World Trade Center. So that's that empty street by the Oculus.
Yeah, let me just
the actual location where.
Let me read Bob Anthony, who's been a guest on the show twice already. And Bob says,
Yeah.
He says, Kurt is a legend, combination journalist, poet, book author, and bike messenger. He's a nationwide rock star among couriers and messengers. That's so neat. And I'm so glad he connected us and recommended us that we should work together. So thank you, Bob. He's at New York Bob on Twitter. Everyone, please tag your friends. There's people who love New York. So if you know anyone who loves New York, tell them to join us. What a fun conversation and a sad conversation at the same time. Kurt, as you're looking at this, do you feel sad as you go along? Here is the Schubert organization telling us that the shows are canceled, right? Isn't that what's going on?
Yeah, so that's a show over on 46th Street, and those were plastered on there. Those flyers were plastered on the door, and you see the date. It says March 12th, and where are we at? We're at April 15th.
Wow!
So it tells you how long that theater's been.
Yep.
And you can imagine how much money they're losing.
Yep. Absolutely.
The money is enormous. If you look at all the money that's being lost, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah. Tell me about this. Seeing the library closed.
The library. That's one of the. Yeah. That library I go to all the time. So actually, I was going there about 3 weeks ago to do something, and when I went over there, if you look at it was closed. I was like, oh man.
Wow. Let's keep looking at these pictures. They're such. They're such.
I feel something very Yeah, okay, so that's MoMA. So MoMA's closed. And that's another sad situation. That's McDonald's. One of the McDonald's that was you can get your food delivered. They were closed, so you can get your food delivered. So I was taking pictures of a lot of these store closures. I found it kind of unique and special to this situation and how big it is. I mean, I still don't realize how big this is happening. It may take me a couple of years, but me being a courier, I just like I see I work in all these corporations and I see the power of big business in America every day, and to see it all shut down is beyond reality. So it's really really big. So that's Church Street, Park Place, station empty. There's Charles Schwab. That's Barnes and Nobles. So
Kurt, I just wanted to, Kurt, as you're talking, I just wanted to say that those of us who are at home haven't seen these pictures, right? There have been some photographs in the newspaper, but you're out there every day. What gives you and other couriers the courage to go out? How protected are you? Are you wearing gloves and a face mask? What is going on with you when you're traveling?
Okay, so I didn't start using a face mask until actually around last Friday. I started using one. So I wasn't using one. I was just practicing social distancing. So I bought one. Like last week. They were 2 for $5, and I bought one. I bought 2. I kind of started using it. But yesterday, the doctor's office, who I work for, I asked them if they have any masks to sell me, and they said, "Nah, we can give you a mask." So they gave me one of those N95 masks that they use. So I was kind of blessed yesterday when they gave me the N95. So that was really good. So so I've been using the mask for about 4 or 5 days, and I started using the N95 yesterday.
Well, please take care of yourself. That's really important. Here we're seeing a bunch of messengers sitting around. What are they saying these days in the community? What is the talk?
Okay, so these are a bunch of messengers from Africa, and they only speak French. So I approached them and I said, "Hey, I want to take a photo of you guys," because they seemed like they were at this particular shot. It seemed like they were having some sort of meeting, group meeting.
Yeah.
So they all listening. It was like a speaker. He's got like a helmet on. I mean, he's in the center and he's talking in French, and they're all listening to him. And I don't know exactly what they were saying, but I was trying to get it. They told me, "Nah, you can't get a group shot. We only," and they're not going to say. So without really getting them to cooperate, I just shot it and kept moving. These signs, Sree, is very kind of special.
Why so? Why are they?
These signs.
Yeah.
They're special because they're all around the city. They're digital billboards all around the city, telling people to stay home, wash your hands, practice social distancing. You can't escape these signs. They're all over the place. So that's like, and it's a variety of signs too. So this is just one of them, but they're all over the city. So you have to. I just see digital technology really really is trying to help people stay safe. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
I kind of appreciated that. And so, and that's interesting. And then on the subway, MTA has they have these automatic announcements telling people to go home if you're not an essential worker, and they're like a rotating announcement on a loudspeaker, right? And so they have all this digital technology that's being spread all around the city, telling people to be safe, stay in your home, practice social distancing. So I think these digital platforms are really helping out. Trying to make the city safe for everybody.
Thank you. You said they were controversial. Why are they controversial, Kurt?
Well, I think some of them. I mean, some people, like when you see a sign that says "Stay home," and you don't want to stay home, it could be controversial, and you don't want to listen to it, or like today, right? There was a police car in Union Square telling people to get out of the park, go home. They put on the speaker, and they were circling Union Square, just telling people like to get out of the park. So, some people are not listening. So that's all it is. But I mean, I love New York. I want everybody to stay safe, including me. So, I think the signs are important. So I'm not going to listen to people who don't want to listen.
I understand. So, Kurt, I'd also say that it's unfair for people to say, everybody stay home. People like you make a living if you go to work, right? Nobody's paying you to sit at home. Is that correct?
Right. That's right. So if I didn't have, if I wasn't an essential worker, I'd be in a lot of trouble. I'll be honest with you, because I wouldn't be able to make any money. And I work on commission. So, I mean, I could probably go to unemployment and fight to get money, but it would probably wouldn't be enough money for me to like pay my rent. So I would be in a lot of trouble if I wasn't an essential worker. You know what I mean? Because I could continue to make some money, and pay my rent. So that I don't say it's a blessing, but it's just something that I'm just lucky to have.
Yeah, I hear you.
So you see the restaurant. So a couple of photos you saw you used was Grand Central. Go back. Yeah, right. Go back. So that's Grand Central, and the one prior to that. So those two photos, those two restaurant photos are Grand Central.
Wow.
So all those restaurants at the bottom of Grand Central where people go eat,
yep,
it's all boarded up. It's just it's devastating. It's devastating. I mean, I so far I haven't ran into anybody who can explain the impact, because the impact this impact is big. It's very big. So that's the Oculus, and right there the whole Oculus is empty. Just a few people, and all the stores are closed. So you can't walk around the Oculus because they got the military, but all the stores are closed. And I come up in this building every day because the PATH train comes up there, and the PATH train is only for essential workers as well.
Wow. So let me ask you a question from Vandana Menon, one of the producers of the show. She says, hi, Kurt. She's in Philly, by the way. Is there a standout moment from the last couple of weeks for you? How do you think New Yorkers are responding to this crisis?
Okay. I think the standout moment, I think for me, in particular, was I was boarding a train that I walked into the train and I saw a homeless man literally take half the train. He had his shopping cart, he had his clothes, he had everything. And this is like 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a business day, right? You're in this is the biggest city, one of the biggest cities in the world. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Trains will be packed with business people. And yet this bum has set up shop in the middle of a train. I was like shocked. I couldn't believe it. And he seemed to be comfortable, so that kind of threw me off like a little bit, because I didn't understand, like, how is this possible, because it just, I don't even know how he got his whole outfit into the train. That was amazing in itself, but from what I see on the streets, most people are very kind of cooperative, right? So I think everybody that's on the streets has been pretty cooperative. There's no fighting. There's absolutely nobody talking, right? Because no one wants to spread the virus. And the will of the people is strong. I get the feeling that the first responders and the essential workers, they want to ride this situation out.
Thank you.
Just support the city as possible.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Steve says, great photos. And Twyla says, there were 7 men hanging out on my block and drinking beer this afternoon. She called the NYPD. Mark Lee says, DoorDash and Grubhub are having a spike in business. And Mark is watching from an empty Durham, North Carolina. My father is watching from India, Kurt, and he says, empty subway. He's whenever he's in New York, it's always so crowded. Joe says, ciao. He's watching from Georgia. Joe's got us a line on a terrific guest that you will hear about in the next couple of days, I hope. And Mark says in North Carolina, bus ridership is only down 30%. And in fact, this is a photo from inside a bus, right?
That's correct. So that's inside the bus. The bus is empty. There's if you can look at the detail, you probably can't see it online, but there's a yellow chain in the center of the bus, and that's a chain where you can't. You go back closer.
There it is.
The original one you had, you can see the chain, but that chain, you can't cross that chain because they put that there so that you can't breathe. You can't breathe next to the bus driver. So
yeah.
They don't want you getting close to the bus driver.
Yeah, we should say
you can't board the bus.
Yeah, no,
you can't board the bus at the front neither. So they block you from entering the bus at the front.
Yeah, we're going to. I'm just going to bring on Kurt for a minute. Our friend Bob Anthony. We're going to put him on the air right now so that he can say hi to you. And we're grateful that he brought us together. I'm so grateful. There is Bob. How are you, Bob?
So I see a question from Daryl.
Yeah, we'll get to that question. Well, Daryl can wait. I just wanted you to say hi to Bob Anthony right here. He's on the air with you.
Hey, Kurt, how you doing?
Yeah, Bob. Hey, Bob, man, thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to talk on this broadcast.
Not a problem. Once I started talking, talking to Sree. Go ahead.
Time, maybe 10 years.
Once I started talking to Sree about you, about your background, you've been a big supporter of a young journalist at the New York Association of Black Journalists. The Courier and Messenger community know you worldwide. And you have a distinct perspective, because if I go out, I'm going straight to Rite Aid. when you go out, you're going all over the city. You're entering buildings that I don't even think of going in anymore. And those pictures you had of not just the subway, of the empty Barnes and Nobles, that was chilling for me because I'm used to how busy that thing always is. So your story is unique. You're out there, but you're also moving around. And I forgot to add this to your description. You're a great photographer. So it was a no-brainer. I didn't have to twist Sree's arm at all to get you on the show.
Thank you, Bob, for doing that. Let's look at some more photographs. And Bob, as a New Yorker, I'm curious about your own responses to these pictures that we're going to show folks in terms of what you said. It was chilling to see some of the pictures. Here's an Apple store. For everyone who's watching who hasn't met at New York Bob yet, Bob Anthony is a terrific journalist, technology journalist. Apple stores are never empty, Bob.
Never. Even if you go to the one near Grand Army Plaza in Manhattan at midnight, there are people in there buzzing around. So yeah, this is unusual. I mean, the one at the Oculus, this might have been after hours anyway. No, you said it was during the day. Yeah, you would never see it like that.
Yeah. And what are your thoughts as you see these pictures, Bob? Look at that, Barnes & Noble temporarily closed, Paragon Sports. For those people not from New York, they may not understand that these things never close, right?
Bob, I didn't catch all the stuff you said, so it didn't come out as clear. But
that's okay. We'll send you the recording so you can hear this, Kurt. But it's just so interesting to think about this, Bob. Reflect on that for me, Bob. The city that never sleeps.
When I started looking at Kurt's photos, because I can take the exact same photo, but at midnight or at 3 a.m., and it'll look like that. You don't see daytime photos in New York City that look like what you're flashing across the screen right now. I can identify that. Yeah, no, you would never see that particular street. That might be, and obviously that's the PATH station at the Oculus. Not what a New Yorker is used to, unless you're a New Yorker like me that tends to ride the subway late at night and actually when you can actually get a seat. But no, daytime. But what Kurt said about nobody talking, that shows you a lot. People aren't that talkative on the subway, but they're talkative some, but they don't even want to open their mouths at this point. There's Macy's. No, you would never see the street in front of Macy's. That's 7th Avenue. Yeah, dead in front of Macy's. You can barely see it on the right side. It would never be that empty during the day, ever.
Yeah, I want to say that my father's watching from India, Kurt and Bob. He knows the Macy's store. He goes from 96th Street, where we live, straight to Macy's every time he visits. He goes to a KFC that he loves, and then he goes to Macy's. And here it is, an empty New York. Our friend Courtney, who was on the show on Sunday, logging in from Tucson. She's an old school New York tech scene. Bob, you might remember her from the very early days. And she says that she's never seen New York look like this, which is pretty amazing that she's experiencing New York like this. So that tells you how unusual this is. We seem to have lost Kurt. Hopefully he'll come back on. He was out working, Bob, and then I think he got dinner at the Javits Center because there's dinner, gourmet food, thanks to the great chefs. And then he came from the Javits Center, came home, and came right on to the show. So he didn't have time to prepare or check his Wi-Fi or anything like that.
I kid him all the time about we never, once in a while we'll meet at an official event, but like 90% of the time I bump into him, it's completely by accident, either in the subway or on the sidewalk. That's how mobile and busy he is. He'll just pop up. I was sitting in front of the garden one day at one of those outdoor tables, and he just materialized. Kurt's everywhere, and you can tell. Let me just say this about Kurt. If he says he's going to do something and he has an idea, he'll do it. He had an idea about taking pictures of the musicians in the subway a few years ago, and we were just chatting about it. A year and a half later, it's a book on TV, covered on the radio. So it's Kurt's very good at getting things done, and I'm pretty sure this will be a book someday.
All right. So we have Kurt on the phone. We've lost him on the internet, but here he is on the phone. He got here. So Kurt, Bob is saying that, if you say you'll do something, you'll do it, even though you were so tired after a long day. You came on the air with us. We're so grateful. So we're going to show you on the phone with us. I'm not holding up the phone to the screen because his phone number would be visible. But Kurt, tell us how you're feeling. How's your health? I really worry about you being out there like this.
Okay, so my health. Okay, let me say, I've been a courier 20 plus years. So I had a lung operation about 10 years ago. They found fluids in my lung, and they cut the lungs out, the fluid out. So that happened, and then about the last 3 years, I've been seeing a lung doctor. So I'm pretty much aware of how the disease affects people with lung problems. So, but in my case, the doctor's giving me some medicine to take every day. As long as I take the medicine, then I could be normal like everybody else. So I could still like run 6 miles a day or whatever I need to do. I can kind of still do it as long as like I'm taking my medicine. So that said, I feel pretty strong. I take my medicine every day, and I practice my social distancing, and that's where I'm not complaining. So I feel very strong. As long as if I could still do 5 or 6 miles a day, I'm pretty good, and I'm not like wheezing or having to how can I say, I don't have strong breath or something, then I know I'm okay. But as long as I like breathing really, really good and I feel my lungs are clear, then I'm good. I don't have no fever or all the symptoms that are for COVID-19. I don't have anything like that. So I feel pretty good. I can still work, So, but that's where I'm at as far as my health.
Thank you very much, Kurt. We're just looking at your website, Kurt Boone Books, Kurt Boone, Boone, books.com. Everybody check him out. He's also on Twitter, Poet59, and his Instagram is Messenger841. And on his website, he's got videos, so many videos of him and people saluting his work, his photography, street photography. So lots of good things. They can watch videos of you, 20 plus year New York City Messenger. And there's lots and lots of information. Bob, for people who aren't familiar with the bike messenger culture in New York, talk about the role of delivery men and women that you have noticed over your time in New York City, Bob.
I mean, they're essential because New York is such a corporate and legal hub. We try to go paperless. That's the concept, I guess. But at the end of the day, there are a lot of documents that have to be hand-signed, hand-delivered. And you need sort of an infrastructure for that. And Kurt and his messenger and courier associates basically keep that rolling in New York, either by bike or on the subway if that's more efficient, or by bus if that's more efficient, whatever works on that particular day. Because of the density of the city and the traffic, you couldn't possibly do this with a car. So you need bike messengers, you need foot messengers. And when I was at PC Magazine, we had them there all the time, either bringing in product or things for us to sign.
Yeah, I know what you mean about that. Kurt, we have some questions and some comments that have come in. So many people are looking at the photographs and commenting how much they like it. And Mark is asking, do you have any family in North Carolina? There are many Boones there. but you can tell us if you have any relatives in North Carolina.
Well, I do have my brother. My brother's in Charlotte, and then I have two nieces in Charlotte as well. So and I have a cousin in Charlotte. So there's a bunch of relatives in North Carolina. I won't say we're descendants of the that famous Boone plantation. There's a Boone plantation in North Carolina, but my family is not the descendants of that. So I would say that. But I do have a bunch of relatives in North Carolina.
Thank you. Daryl asks, how about tourists? Do you see any of them at this time?
There are no tourists in Manhattan at all. As a matter of fact, most of the hotels are closed. So if you're trying to get a room in a hotel, you can't get it because it's closed.
Wow. So
that's big. That's big, right? Yeah. That's really big. So people who don't understand the impact of it is huge. When you got a major tourist place and all the hotels are closed, that's really big.
Yeah. Can you tell us about food distribution centers? Are there lots of lines for like soup kitchens or any of those things going on?
Yeah, there's a few locations that I would guess I call it maybe people who need food. There's few of them. There's certain locations that's been there before the coronavirus, and they always have lines for those. But in terms of going in drugstores or going in Whole Foods or say Trader Joe's, there are lines for that because you have to be 6 feet apart from the other person, and the store can't take that many people. So, for example, like Whole Foods in Tribeca, they have security guards that would keep people in check and maintain the volume of people in the stores. So they were counting how many people they were letting in, and then for those who wanted to get in, when it was full, they had to wait till someone leave. And I would see the lines on the street, and that's across the city. That's not just not just Tribeca. I mean, it's in the Bronx, it's in Brooklyn. You know, yesterday I was in Brooklyn. There's a big line going into the mall. And I said, wow, that was pretty big. And they were 6 feet apart. And then last week, I was in the Bronx, and it was the same thing. You know, long lines going into like places like CVS. You know, because the stores are practicing social distancing.
Yeah. Kurt, we only have a few minutes left, so I want to read you some of the comments. Twyla says it's dangerous work for couriers. We had earlier Stefan saying to see an Apple store is mind-boggling. That's empty. Kurt, you be safe and keep documenting all these eerie scenes. Daryl says the last time New York City was shut down was during Hurricane Sandy, and that was for the first time in 100 years. Arlene says, Kurt, great photos. What are you doing to keep yourself safe? We talked about that a little bit. Twyla says, absolutely disturbing to set out for the night, walk the streets are more than empty, she says. And Steve says, he was a bike courier in DC in 92, 93, a very different world then. And you were you a courier back in 92, 93?
Yes, I was.
Okay. And Daryl says, in Richmond Hill, New York City, we have 7 24-hour green groceries and more than a dozen Trinidad roti shops. Roti is a very popular Indo-Caribbean food, and they have that there. And Stefan says, Kurt, you are a warrior, and I'm in awe of your drive to do all you do. Good, you and this born and bred New Yorker hopes to meet you one day on the streets. A new fan, stay safe and be well. So thank you very much, Stefan. At Poet59 is his Twitter handle. At Messenger841. Everybody, please follow. Rose Horowitz is tweeting at Rose Horowitz Rose Horowitz 31. Please check her out. She says, "Are people comfortable at this point with you taking their photographs? I live in a small town in Connecticut. When kids and their parents or people walking their dogs pass me on the street, no one says hello."
I'll be truthful. Most of my photographs, the people I'm photographing don't know that I'm photographing them, and I'm doing it. I'm doing it as a documentation. But I'm not doing it as, hey, let me take a photo. I'm doing it as, this is documentation of what it's like in New York City during this particular time. So as a freelance photographer, you're allowed to shoot photos of people in public places. And you have that journalistic ability to do that. And there's no crime to do that. So people don't know. And it's one of those things. But I did today, I saw this couple who, they were homeless and they were begging for money. And I dropped $1 into their cup. But I took my camera out and asked them, could I take some pictures? And they said it was okay. So that was one of the few times I asked somebody in the 3 months I've been taking pictures.
Yeah, thank you for all you're doing, Kurt, and telling the story. My father tells me that a company in India called Swiggy, which is, I guess, sort of like our Seamless or Grubhub, calls their couriers delivery executives. You know, unless you're paying somebody like an executive, sounds to me like it's not worth anything to call somebody an executive. What do you think?
That's a little over the top. That's over the top, man. That's really over the top. Sree, I'll tell you, Sree, I really appreciate you having me on the show. You know, I've been following your work like online. You helped the city at one point do all that digital stuff, right? You set up the kind of like digital network for New York, or do I have that right?
No, so yes, I was the chief digital officer for New York City, and I was part of an incredible team of people, so many hardworking folks. I discovered there are 300,000 people who work for New York City, and so it was an honor to work with them and to be part of this great city that we love, and to hear of it empty. As Daryl points out, 65 million people come to New York City, and you're saying there are no tourists. Bob, these numbers and these stats are just, you know, so upsetting to think of New York like that, isn't it?
It's insane. One of my pet peeves covering press events in Midtown is plowing through the tourists, trying to get through them and get them out my way just so I can go from event A to event B. And to see those empty streets, and Kurt's right, all those hotels are closed now, and just that desolation, you know, it's heartbreaking. Yeah. It's not the New York. It's not real New York. It's what it is.
Yeah, folks, if you're just joining us, we have Kurt Boone on the phone at Poet59 and New York Bob Anthony joining us. He's the friend who got us together, and Kurt was having some tech troubles, but he's on the phone. You get things done, right, Kurt? That's what you do as a messenger, whatever it takes, and you've done that. And the point of thinking about this is how much things have changed. And in India, my father says a leading publisher has agreed to do a photo contest on isolation. And I'm going to say to my dad, if he knows the publisher, they should take a couple of photos. He can't enter the contest, but certainly Kurt's photos of New York City should be part of that collection to show how this distancing is happening in different places. We have a Facebook user saying, amazing photos, salute. And they're talking about opening up Vegas, and the president has now said he's going to open up the country. He's holding a news conference on, I believe, on Thursday. Is that correct? Anybody who followed the news can tell me. But I want to show everybody, and I know you can't see this yourself, Kurt, but I want to show you this picture that just got me so upset this morning. For those of you who are able to see this online, Let me just remove this image here and remove all the banners so I can show you this absolutely heart-wrenching photograph. This is of Las Vegas. Homeless Americans sleeping in taped squares in a parking lot while the Las Vegas Strip full of empty hotel rooms shimmers behind them. It's just, it is unbelievable, Bob. Just look at this picture. Empty
That's beyond upsetting. I didn't see that picture until just now. That's way beyond upsetting. Yeah, Vegas, if anything, is overbuilt. They have the rooms. This is insane.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. It's like New York. In New York, there's all this homeless people. Like, usually you don't see them front and center, but since there's no business people, the homeless people are like stars. You see them everywhere. It's just real, it's so devastating, and I don't know what you can call this kind of thing. You know, it's so tragic. I don't know the word to call it outside of it being like very sad. You know, it's very, very sad. And, you know, we can't forget, as we speak, people are dying from this thing. Yeah. And I kind of take that very seriously, that I'm very sensitive to this issue. So I just like for everybody to know that I'm taking pictures, but I'm very sensitive to people who are dying from this virus. It breaks my heart to see so many people die, you know?
Yeah, I appreciate that. And thank you. I want to let you go because it's been a long day for you. You were waiting for a job. You said most of the day you didn't have any business, but then you had 2 jobs towards the evening, and then you got to go to the Jacob Javits Center where they have food cooked by professional celebrity chefs, and Jose Andres is one of them, right? And then you were able to eat that, and then you made it back to New Jersey in time for our show. I can't tell you how grateful I am. I want everybody to go to kurtboonebooks.com. kurtboonebooks.com. Go to poet59.com. Poet59, who was born in 1959. A lot of us are trying to hide our age, but there he is, proud of his age. I love that. And he's also on Instagram as Messenger841. Our guest has been Kurt Boone, who's a poet, photojournalist, journalist, bike messenger, and he had a tour of China. Talk about that, and then we'll let you go.
Okay, so it's actually Tokyo. Tokyo, Japan.
Oh, it's Japan, okay.
Yeah. So it was Tokyo, Japan. So I had a sponsor. It's a messenger bag company. It's called Chrome Industries. They have 2 stores in New York, but they also have 2 stores in Tokyo. So they invited me over to sign books and show me around the street culture of Tokyo. So there's a subculture within the bike messenger world that's part of skateboarding, sneaker culture, all the different elements that make up street culture. There's a small subsection of messenger culture, and I'm one of like the premier messengers in the United States. I'm one of the top guys. So they invited me over to say, hey, we love your work. We support you. We want to buy your books. And it was great. I spent 6 days in Tokyo, all expenses paid, hotel, flight, and I sold some books. And I did a limited edition messenger bag. It was 20 bags, and I signed my name on each bag. So wow. It's like a skateboarder, professional skateboarder signing a skateboard. In my case, I was signing messenger bags. So it tells you how global like messenger culture is, as it fits into the whole story of street culture. because I have a number of brands that sponsor me. There's a German brand, Ortlieb, and I've been getting sneakers from Converse for 10 years.
Amazing.
So I haven't had to buy sneakers in 10 years.
Wow.
So I mean that's one of the perks of being kind of like being this messenger in the era of street culture. So it's not so much the low income of the messenger. Commissioners don't make that much money. It's more of people want to touch authentic street culture. So they want to touch real graffiti artists. They want to touch real skateboarders. we touch real athletes. So it's all in this thing about being real. And New York City is one of the meccas of this particular global culture. But that's kind of like taking it into another subject. But people can get all this like in my books and stuff. So I kind of tell the story about being this messenger in the city and seeing all these different things and putting it into my books, into my photographs, and I share it. So I share these stories. And so it makes it kind of special for me to share it where the audience may not know about it. They may see a messenger all the time, but they really don't know what's behind that messenger experience. And I will say this, Bob.
Yes.
All these skyscrapers that you see in the city, they have dedicated messenger centers. So you look at all these buildings, they have, and these messenger centers, all they do is accept packages for 8 hours. So that tells you how important the messengers are to these industries in New York City. So it's a real important element of doing business in New York.
I totally agree. And Kurt, I wish we could talk for longer, but yeah, we want to let you go. I'm showing on the screen The Culture of Messengers, Messenger Bags 2 by Kurt Boone. So you also had a part 1. And people should go to kurtboonebooks.com and check it out. And Mark Lee in North Carolina says bike culture was very important to the hip hop generation. And that's also ties in together with street culture as well. And so, Kurt, I want to say thank you very much. I hope we get to meet in person soon, and we'll go out and have a good time. Is that okay?
That's great. I really appreciate it. And let's all stay healthy, and let's pray and wish, keeping it into our hearts that people are passing away, and we need to have a sensitivity to this, and so let's just make that like part of our life that, hey, people are dying, and we have to be sensitive and remember those people, our friends and neighbors.
Yeah, thank you, Kurt. So beautifully put. At the end of my show today, after I say goodbye to both of you, I'm going to just reflect on a very unusual day I've had today. I'm going to reflect on that, so some people will stay tuned for it. But Kurt, I want to thank you, and I want to wish you the very best of health and luck with everything you're doing, and you inspire me. So thank you for that. I'm very.
Could I say something before he gets off the line?
Hey, Sree, I really appreciate it, Sree. Thank you so much.
Before you go, Bob wants to say something to you.
Okay.
I just wanted to point out, notice we had problem with the video. Notice we had a little bit of problem with the audio. You had to reconnect. We had to do a whole bunch of different things. This is a normal day in Kurt's life. He just plows through the bumps and gets it done. So kudos to you, Kurt.
Yep.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bob. And I believe, Sree, you keep an archive of these sessions, right?
Yes, they're all on my YouTube channel, Sreenet, youtube.com/Sreenet, SREENET. So I'd love for people to go there, subscribe to it. I've got 34 and maybe, unfortunately, a lot more to go. Drew Kataoka, who's a wonderful artist and patron of the arts, says compassion is central to all of this. Drew, thank you for watching. We really appreciate your time. Everybody who's watching, we are so grateful, and you are such a positive, upbeat person, Kurt, that I'd love to invite you to my spin-off show that I have on WBAI Radio, the great progressive radio station in New York. We're live noon to 2 every Saturday. As a result of this radio show, this webcast, we have that show, and we'd love to have you on if you would be willing to come one Saturday and share your story of being on the streets of New York with that WBAI audience, 99.5 FM and WBAI.org. One of these Saturdays, I'd love to reach out to you, Kurt.
Yeah, I would love to do that, Sree. I definitely I always wanted to be on WBAI. It's a great New York institution, and I would be honored to be on that show. So I'm actually watching you on my desktop, so I can see like what you're doing right now. So, but that's great. So Saturday at 12, I see it. Let me click on the subscriber button.
Yeah, if you just go to youtube.com/sreenet, you can subscribe to it. Kurt, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for your time, your energy, your wisdom, your insight, and all you're doing for this wonderful city that we all love and we worry about. And we worry about folks like you, and we're grateful for what you're doing. Everyone, look at Messenger 841 is his Instagram. Let's get him a lot of love. Please follow him. And we salute you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye. Oh, wow, Bob, thank you so much for bringing him into our lives, bringing him into our circle. We appreciate you, Bob, for doing that. You're the first guest to have been on the show 3 times. The person who was on 2 times was a doctor. So you are you're bringing me another side of what we need to know. Technology, what's happening in New York City. These are all important. I see you graduated to a green screen behind you, so you don't have to we don't have to see the entire apartment, right? You
don't have to see what I just cooked in the microwave that's behind the green screen. Exactly.
I love that. It's now been 4 weeks of this show and 4 weeks of the lockdown. We were first on my show on the 2nd or 3rd day of the show. It seemed like a lifetime ago. Could you reflect on that? And then I'll let you go. I want to tell everybody about these. I'm going to tell you what they are, and a very special day for me. So I will tell you about that as well. But Bob, go ahead.
Well, each of your shows reflects a different facet of what we're going through, be it the medical facet or the overlooked news facet, or what people are doing on the streets today, which Kurt opened our eyes to today. So, and like you said, it seems like it's a blur last few weeks, but the snippets that I've picked out have got me to understand the city a little bit better. And for that, I appreciate what you've done with this show and others. And for me, it's sort of it helps me understand there are other people willing to help, other people out there working hard. Kurt obviously knocking himself out to get the job done day after day. So that's how I've seen it. It's sort of a great way to connect with my colleagues and let them know I'm okay, and connect with many of the new people who keep adding to your show. So kudos for doing this. And I don't like to talk a lot, but for an audience like this, I don't mind.
No, yeah, you're even though you were president of the Deadline Club, the Society of Professional Journalists, and that requires a lot of talking. You talk through your words, you talk through your stories, you talk through your Pinterest, where you have 1.6 million followers, your Twitter accounts, all of them New York Bob, all spelled out. And you said something to me, Bob, that was very upsetting. If you remember, I told you that when you said you don't know if you would be able to go to CES in January next year, if they even have it, because you would be worried about your health and everybody's health. How does America recover if the great Bob Anthony isn't going to the Consumer Electronics Show? That would be like a famous chef saying, I can't go to that restaurant because I'm worried about its safety. Or Lin-Manuel Miranda saying, I'm not going to go to Broadway because that's where you do your work. That's your bread and butter. And so you saying that you're worried about your safety tells me that we are far from being in a place where we can reopen this economy.
Absolutely. You know how it works at these big conferences. it's the give and take that you have with the other experts, with the product promoters. It's the rubbing of shoulders and the shaking of hands. And obviously, if this vaccine isn't ready by the time CES rolls around, or if I have not been tested for the antibodies by that time, I probably will be staying home. So that means that we need to pivot. As you can see, there's a brand new green screen behind me. So if I'm going to do these things, I'm going to have to look a little bit more professional. So I have to pivot. I have to do things different, even at my ancient old age. I'm going to have to learn and recreate myself to something that works in this time of shutdown, because that's either you're agile or you're left behind.
Yeah, and I see you've changed your bio a little bit on Twitter. You've got the hashtag COVID-19 Tech Tip. So, well, first, tell us about the DeLorean you're in. That looks like the car from Back to the Future.
It is the car from Back to the Future. It was at the Javits Center a few years ago.
And now it's a hospital.
Now it's a hospital. These are the types of exhibits you could roll in there at any given time. That was actually a Samsung exhibit, if I remember. Right. But yeah, I figured they actually had to twist my arm into that shot, and I seriously didn't want to take it. And after I saw it, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Yeah, it is cool. And tell us about the COVID-19 tech tip that you're offering.
Yes, I've decided that I'm going to start collecting tech tips for how to deal with the shut-in and how to work better at home and elsewhere during this shutdown. I think I spoke about washable keyboards. There are washable keyboards you can buy for a decent price. You can actually leave them under running water and use a dish detergent on them. They're fine. You can make use of the camera. You can maybe invest in one of these what you're showing right now, these live video machines that Facebook makes, that Amazon makes, and Google makes, to have more video chats with your family. I suggest them just because they're really easy to use. So that's what I'm doing with the COVID tech tips. A tip every so often.
Every so often. Bob, come on, you got to do at least a few a week. Bob, come on, you can do it. And I know a lot of us would be very interested and would share it. And you don't know this, but you gave me a tip on that first show, something called an eco tank. I've always complained, I hate printers. And I said, I hate how expensive they are and how their ink is more than Chanel No. 5. Yes. And they're expensive. And so you told us that something I'd never heard of, something called an eco tank, where they have giant tanks of ink, and they're not trying to make their money by doing pricey ink cartridges. And so guess what? We went and bought one. We went onto Amazon and we bought one. It arrived and it's working great. I still hate printing, but I hate it a lot less now. So thank you, Bob. You helped at least one family with that. We'll help some more people with that. So thank you.
Yeah, so those super tank printers, I just think it's a good idea. You basically pay for the ink at the front end of the purchase, and it lasts out of the box. Once you bring home the printer, it'll last about 1.5 years, 2 years. That's how long you need to worry about.
Normally, it's 1.5 weeks.
Yes, because they give you the little starter cartridge, which is nothing.
Yeah. But let's look at some of these comments, because you said you cooked dinner in the microwave. Mark says he cooked dinner in the microwave too. And Daryl says he had Korean spicy tuna from the can. It's very tasty. Ooh, that sounds good. Mark says a theater CEO in Durham is thinking about limiting seats. So, having space. By the way, Bob, I can tell folks that we're going to have some great shows coming up, including the editor-in-chief of the Wall Street Journal is going to be here. Joe Lockhart is going to be here, the former Clinton press secretary. And we're also going to have Adam Green, who is the Vogue magazine theater critic. So we're going to do a show 2 Saturdays from now about Broadway, which will be amazing. And we'll have so much fun. We're going to interview different kinds of people. And Adam's going to lead the show. I'm going to interview him. And then he's going to bring his buddies. And we're going to have a really great conversation. So we're looking forward to that. And these are all, I don't know what all these emojis are that Daryl's showing us, but I think it's about being green, maybe. I'm not sure, but this is the sign that we have to start ending the show. I'm going to do that. You're welcome to stick around for a few minutes, Bob, as I just say goodbye to everybody. I also want to reflect on what's been a very unusual, tough, crazy day. But I want to say that I got these today. I don't know if you can see what they are. They're masks, but they were shipped to me by my friend Ying Chan from Hong Kong. She put them in a box, gave them to someone going to Vancouver, and from Vancouver, she sent them to us. We have a ton of these now. We're so grateful. We don't deserve this. There's so many workers who need them. And you know how extra considerate she was, Bob? These are the ones you can share because they're individually wrapped. So you can just hand them to people. If you see anybody who needs one, you can do that. So Ying, we love you. And because of you, I can now actually show a piece of technology. So first, I'm going to tell you that we had a very interesting show at 9 a.m. this morning where I interviewed Professor Keiji Fukuda, who is one of the leading pandemic experts in the world. And we did a session on lessons from the pandemic, and he was just terrific. And I asked him about the cutting of the WHO funding, Bob. So I'm going to show you the piece of technology that I was able to take out of that, and I want to share it with everybody just now. But so that was my 9 a.m., and this is my now 9 p.m. Remember, tomorrow is 7 p.m. We have the International Center for Journalism, and International Center, ICFJ, is going to do a very important conversation about what is happening with various aspects of health crisis reporting. So please check in tomorrow, icfj.org, and join us for a very important conversation. Now, let me tell you about 9 a.m. this morning. I'm interviewing Professor Fukuda, who's an American who works in Hong Kong for the University of Hong Kong. And Ying and I were working on this project. And I asked him to talk about WHO. So when you, as Bob knows, once you have you want to get a transcript of a recording, like a long 1 hour recording like this, what do? It's hard. So what we did was I went in and I used a tool called Otter, O-T-T-E-R, that allows you to transcribe almost anything instantaneously. It's kind of like magic. And I'm going to play for you. This is all auto-transcribed, and they also record the audio. So this is me asking him about the importance of WHO and what does it mean that the funding was cut. So please listen. It's about 40 seconds of audio. Watch this and watch the wording on the screen. I'm going to blow that up a little bit, and let's hit play.
Polio eradication programs. Much of this was made possible because of the U.S.'s involvement in leadership and providing expertise and providing political backing and providing financial backing. And so it has really played an instrumental role in some of the most important actions that have been taken at the global level in terms of health. And so the announcement really marks a stepping away from that. So whether President Trump actually follows through or not, it's a little bit like the announcement when the U.S. was indicated it would step away from the Paris Climate Agreement. It really sends a bad tremor through the international community. And in the long term, it's going to weaken both the U.S., which fundamentally depends on other countries in terms of addressing health issues, but it's also going to fundamentally weaken the world's ability to deal with these complex issues. So I hope he doesn't follow through on it. It's really quite bad news. We'll just have to see what happens.
Okay. Wow. So Bob, let me just bring you on. First of all, that technology, what do you think of it? And all I did was hold up my phone and this app, Otter, O-T-T-R, like the animal, and it recorded the audio and did the transcribing. I think it was about 98% accurate.
That's really impressive. I have a friend who's a documentarian who's been looking for exactly something like that for ages. He has audio transcripts that he used for audio tapes from a radio show that he's been looking to transcribe for ages. And if this had this level of accuracy just on an app, on a phone held up to open air and listening to the audio on a speaker, that's really good technology. I'm impressed. I'm going to have to test that tomorrow.
Thank you. And I hope you'll turn it into a COVID-19 tech tip. I think that would be awesome. And but also the message, Bob, that we should not be shutting down in the middle of a pandemic support of the most important health organization in the world, no matter what the legitimate criticism there might be about how it handled China when it declared a pandemic. All of that's legitimate to raise and to ask, but not cut the funding in the middle of this, because the very same accusations President Trump makes of the WHO, he was right there with them doing exactly the same behavior that he's accusing them of. But anyway, so that's how I started my day. And then Ying Chang's package arrives with these masks. And then I should tell you, Bob, even before all this, I'm on Facebook, and you know how it is. You're lying in bed and you're reading Facebook and you're scrolling. Of the first 10 posts I saw, the first 4 were of people talking about dead loved ones. Very sad. Somebody's brother, somebody's mother, somebody's sister, all in a row. One was a 90-year-old grandmother, and God bless her. It's wonderful that she lived to 90, but she didn't need to be taken away by this at this moment. I was so upset. That's how I started my day, and I just couldn't, pull myself together immediately after that. It's been quite a different kind of experience, and now it's 34 days of this, and we have a lot more to go in front of us.
It's disappointing and heartbreaking for me to wake up every day and see things like that. I have a good friend in the Bronx. She sent me a note today saying that her niece had died of something else. She had other problems, but to die at this time is just a terrible thing. But and she added that she was just emailing me. She's not going to share it on Facebook because she doesn't want to add to the a litany of bad news coming in over social media. She'll share it privately. Yeah, so that's how she's dealing with it.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Mark asked if we've ever had Andre Talley on the show. No, but if you can get him, that would be great. Steve says Ying rocks. Drew says Otter is fantastic. So thank you, Drew. Drew Katakoa is an amazing artist and art lover. Rose is pointing out that tomorrow, how journalism with the ICFJ, the International Center for Journalists. Jonathan asked, does Otter work if you have a headset or hearing aids? That's really interesting. So what all Otter does is take any piece of audio and transcribe it. So I don't know how you'd run a headphone through that. We have to take our tech guru and have Bob play around with that maybe. But the hearing aid shouldn't be a problem, because what it's doing is you could, and by the way, they give you 60 free hours a month, 60 hours free of transcription, which is to me a lot, right? That's 2 hours a day. How much do you need? So what you could do is, if there's something that's playing, you can, and then the other reason why I like it, Bob, is that you can read faster than you can hear or watch something. So if you get a transcript of something, you can walk away, come back, get the transcript, and you can scan through it before you could listen or watch this whole video, for example.
No, that's a great tool for you or I, or for, say, a journalist who gets distracted for a moment. You can quickly go back and see what was said without having to elbow the person next to you and ask him.
Yeah, and by the way, I use this on the WBAI show where it's a call-in show, so people are calling in, and it's New York and it's live radio, so we have all kinds of wonderful New York characters on the show. One of the things it does, it's doing it live, right? It catches the name of every person. So if I forget to write down the name of the person, I just, in real time, while she's talking, I go back up and say, oh, thank you, Anne, for the question, because it's doing it in real time. So I don't know how anybody will host a show again without having Otter running in the background to just catch up. You can just scroll down, or scroll up and see what those things are. Our former guest, Alicia Marie, is watching. Life Mastery with Alicia Marie from Grand Rapids. Great to have you. And Drew says, right, you can edit the auto AI transcriptions because it's AI. That's really important. And Rose says it's 98% accurate. Wow, my son uses it for his work. Sends a bad tremor, says KG Fukuda. It's very much like his response to Paris climate change and many other agreements that he has renounced. That's right. My guess is that I would have to use speakerphone. Jonathan, that's a good point, and you'll check it out. And by the way, Bob, this also reminds me, as Jonathan has said, the importance of thinking about accessibility at all times. And not everyone
Absolutely.
has access to everything. Maybe you have a hearing issue. You could record it and then listen to it. Read the transcript. So sometimes some things are good for some accessibility, but maybe not so good for other accessibility issues. And that's one of the things that you can say. A very good friend says her mother-in-law died COVID-19 and sickly. Only 4 people will be permitted at the gravesite, she says. They haven't decided whether to tell her mother-in-law's husband, who's elderly and frail. Just think about that situation. This is America today. And I hold the government responsible, not for everything, but for some of the things. We know that South Korea and the United States got their first confirmed cases on the same day. And look what happened in South Korea, and look what happened in the United States. And for that, you have to lay the blame directly at the feet of the government and the head of the government that was saying from day one, this is like the flu. This will get fixed. By April, it'll be all over. Don't worry. So you have to take the blame. Bob, I don't want you to get political or worry about that. This is just my personal opinion. I'm going to do a one shot here to tell everybody, but that's where how governments respond matter. All this time we've been told that we're in this really upsetting situation where there's so much anti-intellectualism that science doesn't matter. This chart shows you science matters. Look where the United States is at the top of that list, and look where South Korea is. By the way, these are these Financial Times charts every day by John Byrne Murdoch, amazing, and they're worth seeing on Twitter or anywhere else. Look at that. China, let's ignore because of the issues around verification and trust. But look at South Korea. Look at even Italy. Look at Austria. Look at Norway. Look at Japan. Look at those numbers and look at the United States and where we are. And we have to find out who was responsible. And the president says we can't criticize him in the middle of a pandemic. Well, we can criticize him because we have questions that we deserve answers for in this country, and people need to know. And so that's why we're doing that. So it's been a long day and a long show. I'm so grateful to all of you for being here with us, for spending your time, for supporting the show. I want to thank our sponsor for being here and supporting us, and that's frontlinefoodtrucks.com, frontlinefoodtrucks.com. Donate today to support the New York Food Truck Association as it feeds frontline healthcare workers, and food donated by La Colombe, by Sweet Green, Chobani, Kind Bar. And this ad was paid for by a third-party donor, anonymous. Every penny that is collected goes to the food truck workers to feed the NYU Langone and other hospitals. It's a great cause, frontlinefoodtrucks.com. Please go and please support it. And if you have questions about being a sponsor on our show, here's the information. We'd love to have you as a sponsor. It's so easy. Please take a photo of this, email it to somebody. Maybe you don't have anything you're selling, but you have a small business you'd like to support. You would like to put in an ad or a thank you or a marriage proposal or a happy birthday greeting. Look how inexpensive these are. And this will allow me, if you support these shows, I will be able to pay freelancers to produce this. We have producers, but I'm not able to pay them yet. So we want your support. So please jump in. Please support us. Sree at sreenet. We can get creative. We can play video. We can do all kinds of cool stuff. This is the advantage of being my own boss. We'll still have ethics. We still want to make sure every show we bring you is driven by great content, and that's why advertising matters. And I see our friend Bob is here. I want to ask him about that, about seeing these ads. How do you think they're working? You know I'm learning a lot doing this, Bob.
Well, actually, a friend of mine who tuned in the other day was asking about how if you were doing this on your own or volunteering, or what the business model was. And I said that you had started getting ads so that you can basically produce it better, although you're producing it quite well, even though you're not single-handed, but you don't have a big staff behind you.
No.
But what the audience doesn't know is that I didn't see your message until a couple minutes before you went on air. And
Yeah.
we traded WhatsApp messages just so I can get the link to be on the show. So I can see that with support, with things like supporting this effort, and you're giving excellent information, I think you'll get the support that you need. At least I hope so. I see so many other shows that deliver a lot less getting ads, so you should too.
Thank you. That's very kind. And all of this is to say, and by the way, Bob, as you know, as freelancers, we have to justify our time, right? What project are we doing? We'd love to do lots of free stuff, and we want to do free stuff, but getting even a little bit of money shows the value to ourselves, even if not to anyone else. But certainly, it's easier for my family to give up the main living room if I tell them I'm making money rather than I'm doing this just on my own. And speaking of WhatsApp, we have a little trick here. Bob, if you want to just come over to the side, no, the other way. There you go. Look at that. I'm going to take a screenshot of this. This is funny. 1, 2, 3. And what this is an alert, so that anybody who points their phone at this, if you have an iPhone, you point at it, or if you have an Android, you need to have a QR code reader or a Google Lens app. And if you point it, you will get added to a daily alert, not a WhatsApp group. WhatsApp groups can be very problematic, but this is only an alert that says we're on the air. So tell your friends, please join this group, this alert, so that you can see all our shows. And also, please subscribe on YouTube. YouTube is something I'm trying to learn. He has 1.6 million or 1.2 million followers on Pinterest. I have 600 followers on YouTube, but I'm trying to learn how to use it. So that's why I'm posting there. That's my COVID plan, and I'm learning that. I also want to do a shout out to our friend, Stefan Kaplan, who I know loves you, Bob. And he says to all of us, tomorrow at 11 a.m., we have a wonderful show out of India, where he's in New Jersey, and he is interviewing a terrific photographer named Ranita Roy, and live on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. I think it's live on Facebook and Twitter, and or maybe only on Facebook. I'm just looking at this here. I'm sorry, Stefan, for botching this, but I'm looking at the screen now, and I understand you can see this Thursday at 11 a.m. Please join and see this excellent story and watch and learn from this at Thursday, 11 a.m. tomorrow Eastern time. She is a photographer based in Kolkata, India. RanitaRoy.com. Check that out and use the hashtag #SpinItSocialHour, and you will learn a lot. And this is his project and his passion project. So with that, I will say goodbye. I will say thank you to New York Bob for stopping by. Always good to see you. Stefan, by the way, is downloading the Otter app, and Alicia Marie says, as a content developer, Otter would be great for repurposing video or podcast into a written blog post too. Yes, absolutely. And Stefan says there's a national disgrace, and the responsibility starts at the top, which is now the bottom. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. And Daryl says, I've been able to do transcripts do Google Docs. Huh? Did you know that Google Docs do transcriptions? I have not played with that. I love Google Docs. So if you have an Android phone, by the way, I think the Android, the Pixel phone from Google has good transcription, but this has really good sharing also. You saw what I did was just give everybody a link, and from that link, they could click and listen to various things, and you can edit it also. So, all right, I'm going to leave. Tomorrow, please join me at 7 p.m. at an earlier time, where we will be talking to folks from the International Center for Journalists, and it's going to be a great conversation. Please join us at 7 p.m. Eastern. Tell all your journalist friends. On Friday, we have a conversation about U.S. immigration issues, episode number 36. And then on Saturday, WBAI, noon to 2. And Bob, I was so thrilled to hear that Kurt would like to be on the show. Here's a New Yorker a New York character has never been on the show, so we got to get him on there. And you were my very first guest, and I'll never forget that. I'm so grateful, Bob, for all your support. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you for supporting us. Please email me, sree@sree.net. We're getting lots of ideas, and we're going to continue to grow and continue to help as many people as we possibly can. And I'll say bye to Bob and bye to everybody. Thank you. Oops, more comments coming in. Let's quickly look at them. Let's see. Bob's like, wait, I was trying to leave. He was stuck. He says he'll share the process. Jonathan says would love to see it. Great show and a great guest. Jonathan was the first to log in, and so we'll let him be the last to say goodbye. And this time, Bob, really, goodbye.
Okay.
See you.